My name is Morgan. I'm 20 years old and I feel like I'm falling behind. I don't think there's anyone out there for me. Making friends is so hard. Everyone is prettier than me. I need more clothes. I should have my career figured out by now. Everyone is prettier than me. I'm too stubborn. I'm not stubborn enough. I should want kids. I should have a house. I want to be single. I want to be married. What the heck is this pain in my back? Oh my god, we're all gonna die. I just want every single person to like me. I don't understand health insurance. I should be more independent. I should call my parents more. I should get a promotion. I should change job. I should have kids. I should have a house. I should want everyone to like me. I should want. I should have my career figured out. I should have everything figured out by 30. I turned 30 9 days ago at the time of filming this, which I suppose means I'm now qualified to give you some advice on how to live life in your 20s. So this fresh 30-year-old is going to share 30 things that she learned in her 20s that honestly she wished she learned sooner, because they would have saved her a lot of anxiety and stress. And she's gonna stop using the third person now. Okay, I hope that whether you are in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s or older or younger, that at least one of these lessons resonates with you. And if one does, or two, or three, or all of them, please let us know in the comments. Because I think one of the most powerful positive forces of the internet is its ability to connect us to one another and to remind us that we're not alone, which I think is really important no matter what age you are. So with that, let's begin. My early 20s started off quite ordinary. I was a new grad in a new city starting a very generic human resources job, and the newness of that job and the paycheck excited me for about 1 to 2 years. Then the reality of, oh my god, this is the rest of my life started to settle in. I think for a lot of us, it's at this point that we start to wonder what else in my life can bring me joy. And I read somewhere that a good place to start is thinking back to what you enjoyed doing as a kid. So, I joined a volleyball league, I got back into crafting, and these activities were fun, but they weren't it. So I thought harder. When did I feel the most myself? When did I completely lose track of time? And the answer became obvious. When I was making content. Taking photos and sharing them on Tumblr, filming videos for YouTube. 13-year-old me would count down the minutes until I had the house to myself to record. But I shared this hobby with almost no one. It felt embarrassing. But what I learned was oftentimes it's the things you are embarrassed to be interested in as a kid that'll bring you the most joy as an adult. I decided that I'd rather chase the bliss of creating and take the risk of feeling embarrassed than risk never experiencing that feeling at all. I decided to not be afraid to be seen trying. And honestly, some of my early content was embarrassing, but guess what? No one cared. And if they did, they weren't telling me, so ignorance was bliss. I got to do something I loved out loud in front of people, and it wasn't just not embarrassing. It was fun, rewarding, challenging, and eventually it became my career. Which, of course, at times has been hard. I have fallen victim to the comparison trap, which has many times caught me in a constant loop of feeling like I'm not good enough. I've spent days, weeks, months paralyzed by all the work and stress and mistakes that stood between me and success. But when I stopped focusing so hard on how far I had to go and started focusing on how far I've come, I started to feel a lot better. So start spending more time applauding yourself for what you got done today than scolding yourself for what needs to be done tomorrow and next week and next month. I've found that it leaves me feeling more motivated, propelled by the tiny steps I've taken up the mountain each day, rather than overwhelmed by what's left to climb. Looking back, I feel like I really took advantage of experimenting with my life in my 20s, especially when it came to my career. I tried a lot of different things, and I think I started out doing that in a sense of, I need to do this as quickly as possible so that I can find my correct path in life. There was a lot of urgency around it, but Eventually that settled down and I kind of just realized, what's the rush? And it was at that point that I really started to enjoy the journey of trying different things and finding myself and finding what I wanted to do. And that's something I wish I had realized much earlier on. But besides, figuring out what I wanted to do with my life, I was also very worried about figuring out who I was going to do that life with in my early 20s, because I started my 20s without very many friends. But I do think 20-year-old me would be pretty happy with where we are now. So let's talk about friendship. I used to dream of living in and jet-setting to exciting cities, but I learned early on in my 20s that home refers to people, not places. Because the most important thing, wherever you live, is community. The right community can make the most boring of atmospheres feel like the most special places on Earth. So pretty quickly, my main concern shifted from where am I gonna live in my 20s to who am I going to spend them with. And to be honest, I didn't really feel like close-knit friendships were for me because I hadn't found my friends in college, and it felt like everyone else in the world did. But I pretty quickly learned that as impossible as it may feel, you actually never stop making friends as long as you never stop trying. I went on to meet some of the most important people in my life in my 20s. Kind, funny people who brought me out of my shell and at the same time accepted me for who I was. I learned that good friendship isn't defined by years. It's defined by your willingness to put yourself out there, to be open with people, to be there for people. I formed new friend groups by meeting people on the internet, at work, through friends of friends. I was welcomed into friend groups that already existed, something I didn't even think was possible. And listen, finding my people, it was not easy. Making new friends is difficult and uncomfortable. You have to say yes to things even when you want to say no, and you will likely have dozens of awkward friend dates and hangouts before you find your people. But when you do, it's so worth it. So as fleeting as they may seem, genuine adult friendships are out there. You just can't give up looking for them. And it's true. Sometimes hanging out with your friends may feel inconvenient. Socializing in general may at times feel hard. That happens in adulthood. It's normal. Your friends don't live down the street from you anymore. They don't sit next to you in class. Instead, you have to fit hangouts into your slivers of free time, and as inconvenient as that may be, don't stop doing this. Will you occasionally need to cancel to take time for yourself? Of course. But don't stop showing up for your friends, even when it feels hard. And even when you get in a fight, okay, having one disagreement with a friend doesn't mean the friendship is over, even though I definitely used to think it did. Because that's how a lot of my friendships ended in the first 2 decades of my life. One disagreement, and then ghosted. It's why I tread so lightly around new friends, and to be honest, old friends. I'm always afraid to say anything that could send them running. But apparently, that's not how it has to be. I've learned that if something hurts your feelings, speak up. And if something hurts theirs, apologize. Not everyone will leave the instant they see a peek at the less than perfect side of you. Believe it or not, some people will fight to stay. And some people won't, because they don't like you. Yes, it is true, you will be the villain in some people's stories, and that is okay. Despite what our brains tell us, we don't need every single person to like us, okay? So don't waste your time and energy trying to get everyone to adore you, because your energy is expensive. Not everyone can afford it. Yes, Taylor Swift did say that on her fiance's football podcast, but it really stuck with me, especially as an internet person. So it's in the video. But as somebody who spends so much of her life online, I have found that saying really does make it a lot easier for me to brush off negative comments. And beyond that, I've started to realize that it really does apply a lot offline as well. That phrase flipped a switch in my brain, and suddenly I stopped caring about the approval of people who haven't cared to make me feel appreciated in years. Instead, I focused on pouring my energy into the people who actually fill up my cup. No longer was I going to be draining myself into the cups of people who only ever dump my effort out on the ground anyways. Now, I know I just went on and on about the importance of community, but I would also like to say, make sure you are the new person at least once. By my mid-20s, I had done this several times, and it taught me how much value there is in moving to a place where you don't know anyone. It's scary and confusing and sometimes unbearably lonely, but it shapes you in ways staying put never could. There's nothing wrong with the comfort of home. In fact, you'll probably come to appreciate it more after some time away. But it's also possible that while you're gone, you'll realize you were never really leaving home. You were just finding another one. Oh, and also stop agonizing over what dining room table to buy, okay? Because you're not going to throw as many dinner parties as you think. Most of the time, you and your friends are just going to sit around on the floor around a coffee table, all right? So it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so that was friendship. And now another part of my 20s that I don't think anyone really accurately prepared me for was the reality of aging. You know, from like ages 11 to 25, it kind of felt like every year I was like, oh, I'm looking better, I'm looking less awkward. And then I hit my mid-20s and I started noticing like, oh, we've got some fine lines, we've got some wrinkles, our hair is starting to thin, we've got mysterious back pains, we're spending a lot more time on WebMD. And I think the mid to late 20s is when a lot of people are kind of slapped in the face with the reality that you are getting older, you look older, you feel older, and you will eventually die. So here's what I wish 20-year-old me knew about that. Appearance. It's something all of us on some level care about. When I was a teenager, I was very much a victim of comparing myself to the models in magazines. Although when the revelations about retouching and plastic surgery came to light, it became a lot easier to not hold myself to that standard. In general, I think cosmetic procedures used to mainly be associated with the rich and famous, making it easier for the rest of us to resist comparing ourselves to celebrities because their looks were entirely unattainable. But because we're still humans, we still compare ourselves to our peers. However, what you may not realize is that way more people have had Botox or plastic surgery than you think, including your peers. In my 20s, I quickly realized just how commonplace Botox, lip filler, and other little nips and tucks actually were for people my age, making my salary. At first, it surprised me, but then it relieved me, because I finally started to understand that no one is built perfectly. Insecurities are just part of being human, and as we get older, we'll probably develop new ones that we may feel the urge to do something about. There will be people who remind us over and over that it's a privilege to age and that we should embrace our wrinkles. And they're right. It is a privilege. We should be grateful we've lived long enough to even worry about these things. But it's also okay to use the tools available to you if one day you decide you want to change something. But be honest with yourself when you think about why. Are you doing this because it's something that's genuinely bothered you for a long time? Or are you doing it because society and the internet has convinced you that it should bother you? At the end of the day, it's your body. Appreciate it for what it allows you to do, change it if you want, and always remember, Botox can migrate to other parts of your face. And that's terrifying. And now while we're on the topic of appearance, let's discuss hair. No one really warns you that women experience hair loss too. I thought I was having a completely unique experience when my hair started shedding more, only to learn that it's actually very common. And it's something you can go to the dermatologist for. Which I only did after clicking about every single internet ad that ever existed for a hair growth serum. So I would recommend skipping that step. A dermatologist can recommend the right shampoos and medications, and if you can, invest in good extensions. Like Botox, a lot more people wear extensions than you think. I would also recommend taking a break from highlights, if that's your thing. I think you'll be surprised by how much healthier your hair gets, and how much money you save, and how much you might actually like your natural hair color. Oh, and for the love of all things good, do not get bangs. Put the scissors down. Put them down. And now pick up some weights. And do so regularly. Not so you'll look better, but so you'll feel better. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that sluggishness, that's like pain in your back and the heavy breathing you get when you carry your groceries, will probably ease if you just pick things up and put them down, even if it's in the comfort of your own home, because I get it. Gym anxiety is real. But you're not 17 anymore. You will actually start to feel the pain of your sedentariness. You know those 70-year-olds that pass you on the hiking trails? They probably lifted some weights when they were younger. And if you do too, you'll give yourself a better chance of becoming a 70-year-old who passes young kids on hiking trails. Alright, and lifting isn't just for men. Women can do it too. You won't get too muscular. You'll just be healthier and able to get more out of life. You know, as long as you lift safely with proper form. Okay, if you hurt yourself in the gym, do not sue me. Now, speaking of getting older, I think our 20s are when we start to have a lot more existential thoughts. We start to think about death more. And for me, my 20s are when I started to experience more loss, which made the reality that life is actually short begin to feel much more real. And you know, death is a serious topic, one that will very much depress you at times, as it should. But try not to let the anticipation of it hold power over you. Because I started to learn during this time that ironically, the brevity of life brings levity to life, if you'll let it. If you're lucky, you get a good 80 to 90 years and then you die. Everyone does. And really sitting with that realization didn't actually feel daunting to me. It made me feel lighter. The stress and worry that I was harboring about fundamentally meaningless things just evaporated from me. Worries about my thinning hair, or that mean thing some stranger said on the internet, or my freaking dining room table just lost their weight. And what took their places were things that I think are typically quite unserious. Snuggling my dog, playing games with my friends, learning a new hobby. And I found that the more I embraced the unserious, the more energy I had to deal with the serious things that actually mattered. Now, that's not to say that I don't still get down about frivolous things. I am human after all. But I think I've learned to pull myself out of those moments more quickly by remembering that, as cliche as it is, life really is short. Now, if you want to try and not die, then you'll need to hear this next lesson that I learned in my 20s, which is that you do in fact need to go to your doctor's appointment every year, despite the fact that health insurance is the biggest scam ever. When I turned 26, I had to go on my own insurance, like most Americans do. And this medication that I was on for my IBS skyrocketed to $400 a month. And that was a moment that radicalized me, because from then on out, if I heard the word copay or deductible, I felt a deeply rooted rage inside of me. And that would cause me to not want to go to my doctor's appointments, because I was like, you know what, maybe dying is actually easier than dealing with the insurance system. But as I got older, I did start to hear about more and more people, whether it was people I directly knew or friends of friends, people in my orbit that got diagnosed with serious things just by going to their yearly appointments. Somebody I know got diagnosed with thyroid cancer just by going to their regular dentist appointment. And if they hadn't done that, I don't know if they'd still be with us. Who knows? You know what I mean? So it was then that I realized, okay, fine, dying is not easier. It's easier. Dying is easier than dealing with the health insurance system, but it's not better. It's not the optimal choice over dealing with the health insurance system. So this is your reminder to pick up the phone and make your yearly doctor's appointment. And I'm actually saying that to me. Also you, but me, because I still haven't made mine for this year. And I need to. But before we get around to doing that, let's talk about another thing that doctors do, which is deliver babies. Because people started having babies when I was in my 20s. People that I knew started having babies in my 20s. And I was not prepared for how much that was going to change my friendships with them. When my friends would tell me they were pregnant, on one hand I'd feel incredibly happy that they were producing a miniature version of themselves. But on the other hand, I'd also feel sad that I was losing the version of them that I'd loved for so long. I've now learned that that's a natural feeling, and the discomfort that can come with this transition doesn't last forever. Strong friendships will develop a new normal, but in the beginning, I struggled with it for a while. They would be talking about car seats and baby food and sore nipples, and I would try to support them to relate in some way before realizing that I was really just observing the conversation instead of participating in it. And I would feel mad at them. Why did they have to go off and have kids? And then I would be mad at myself. Am I a bad friend? Why can't I just be happy for them? And then I'd feel confused. Why don't I feel compelled to have kids myself? Everyone else seems to be on board, so is there something wrong with me? And the answer is no. Nothing's wrong with you if you don't feel compelled to have kids. Society often makes it seem like that's the natural order of things. You grow up, you find a partner, you reproduce. And some people will feel an innate pull towards parenthood, but others simply won't. Similar to the way some people feel compelled to run a marathon and others have no interest at all. The truth is, it's a choice, though for a long time society discouraged us from seeing it that way. Having children was presented as a given. As a woman, you were just expected to want to be a mom. So when you don't see it that way, when you see it as the decision it actually is, it can feel a little unsettling, like something's wrong with you, but nothing is. My own mother told me she wasn't really sure if she wanted kids or not. She decided to have them, obviously, but it wasn't something she felt destined to do. It was a choice she made that came with its own joys and sacrifices. The same way choosing not to have kids comes with its own joys and sacrifices. Neither path is lesser, neither makes your life less meaningful, and happiness can be found in either direction. And there's no rush. Seriously, I mean, my mom had me at 37. It did give her a lot of problems in the process, but we are both still here, so you've got time. You've got time. Okay, so now, regardless of whether you decide to have children or not, there is one universal truth, and that is that life is expensive. So I am going to rapid fire share with you 3 of the important financial lessons that I learned in my 20s. Welcome to Finance with Morgan. To start, open a high-yield savings account as soon as possible. Seriously, as soon as possible. That is ASAP, not AASP. Put whatever you can put in it each month. If it's $1, that's fine. If it's $10, great. If it's $20, amazing. If it's $1,000, congratulations, you're winning. But just do that as early on as possible to start building your nest egg or saving for whatever you want to save for, because the interest will start to build up much more quickly with a high yield savings account than with a regular 0.0001 interest rate savings account, which is what I started my 20s with. Not upset about that at all. Next, if you can afford it, just buy the thing you actually want instead of the cheaper version. Because if you buy the cheaper version, you will regret it 99% of the time. I would do this a lot in my early 20s. I would see something that I needed or wanted, a pair of jeans, a piece of furniture, home decor, etc. And I'd be like, that looks nice. I don't really want to spend that much money on it. And then I would find a cheaper version and I would get that thing. And then almost always the cheaper thing would disappoint me and I would either end up buying the more expensive thing anyways, or I would continue to try and find a cheaper alternative until I had bought so many cheap things that it was actually more than what the expensive thing cost in the first place. So I know sometimes it isn't always possible, but most of the time, I'll go back to the jeans example. If you find a pair of jeans you like and they're a tad expensive, just buy them, because the quality, the fit is probably going to end up being better than whatever cheap alternative you can find, and you will likely end up hating that cheap alternative and you will not use it and you will be upset with yourself, and I don't want you to be upset with yourself. And then final financial lesson, think carefully before becoming too important at work. Okay, I know the extra money is appealing, but the extra responsibility may cause you to lose your sanity. Now, if you are super ambitious and you want to climb that corporate ladder and make all the money, you don't care if you have to sacrifice your life for it, I support you if that's what you want to do. But if you don't want to do that, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with being an individual contributor who does their job well, who has no desire to manage people or work until 9 o'clock each night. So I get that the money is very appealing, but just, weigh the decision carefully, because there is often a point where the amount of responsibility kind of outweighs the money, and that's when you start to become a little miserable. So just think carefully about that one. And now for a very natural segue, let's talk about love. Kind of looks like a butt a little bit. Sorry, guys. So I started my 20s in what I now know to be a pretty toxic relationship, both ways, probably. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but just wanted to add that as a little bit of context for these final lessons that I learned. All right, get ready for a little bit of a mood shift. For a long time, I thought my expectations for love were unreasonable, but they weren't, and yours aren't either. Don't let a partner gaslight you into believing that you're not deserving of little spontaneous gifts every so often. Don't let them get away with never planning a date or guilt-tripping you for spending time with friends. And do not let them tell you the skirt that you feel confident and hot in is too short as they scroll through a feed of half-dressed Instagram models. At some point in your life, you'll probably accept less than you deserve because you feel like nice, thoughtful, funny, hot partners only exist in movies. But they don't. They are real, albeit rare, but real. And you deserve one. Now, your search for that person might be painful at times, but overall, being single isn't that bad. It's actually a lot more enjoyable than being with someone who isn't right for you at all. You get to do whatever you want. Watch the shows you want, decorate how you want, go on vacation where you want. You'll learn about yourself. You'll have highs, you'll have lows, but it'll all make you the person you're supposed to be when you meet him. When you meet him, everything will make sense. He'll effortlessly treat you how you used to beg to be treated. He'll plan dates, he'll answer your texts, he'll bring you home little things that reminded him of you. He won't laugh at your dreams, he'll support them, and you'll support him. There will be no keeping score or nights wondering if he's mad at you. There will just be warmth. The warmth of his hand that makes you feel safe when it intertwines with yours. The warmth of his hugs that remind you everything is okay. The warmth of his laugh that cheers you up on a bad day. After a while, you two move in together. You create a home, and everything is perfect. Until it's not. "5 years go by, and the thought enters your brain. Is this really the person I'm supposed to be with? Forever? Do we talk enough? Do we laugh enough? Is this normal for a long-term relationship, or is something really wrong?" You'll reach an impasse where you have to decide, do I stay or start over? It's a decision you'll try to make without any hard evidence, no specific problem to point to, just a feeling. And is that feeling a true gut feeling? Or is it just your lifelong anxiety disorder realizing you may actually commit your entire life to this person and it doesn't like commitment, so it's telling you to run? Your anxiety is always worried that you might miss out on something better. Always convinces you there's something wrong with what you have. It never wants you to make a choice, because if it's the wrong one, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. And this, the person you spend your life with, is one of the most important choices you'll ever make. People always say when you find the one, you just know. But what do you do when you thought you knew, but now aren't so sure? Well, if you're me, you'll probably search for answers from friends, books, and the internet before realizing no one can tell you the right answer but you. And maybe your therapist, who helps you realize that you will never have 100% certainty. Not with love or anything else in life. The thing is, no matter how right someone seems for you, there's no way to know for sure that they would never leave or hurt you. There's always a possibility that your relationship crumbles. And love means choosing that person every day, despite that possibility. So that's what you do. You choose him. A lot of people will say that if you're having doubts about your partner, they can't possibly be the one. And sometimes that's true. But in my case, I learned I was having these thoughts because he is the one. I didn't struggle with these feelings in past relationships because on some level I always knew they would end. But this one, this kind, cute, funny, intelligent, entirely non-toxic person, I could actually see forever with him. This, of course, terrified my anxiety. So much so that it was desperately trying to find a reason for me to leave him so that he couldn't leave me. It wanted to destroy my relationship, and it could have, but I fought back because I knew I wasn't fighting for comfortability. I wasn't fighting change or a fear of being alone. I had fought and lost those fights in past relationships. This time, I was fighting for love, not the burning red we've been dating for a year, it's so fun and new and exhilarating kind of love. The golden love that feels warm, that feels like home. And some days it glows brighter, some days it's dimmer, but it's always glowing, so long as you choose to light it. See, I told you, a bit of a mood shift. So now, we have gone through 29 lessons, if you haven't been counting. So, what is the 30th one? For that, we are going to consult the first journal entry of my 30s. Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm 30 years old, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I trust that the people I need in my life will cross my path when the time is right, and the people that aren't meant for me will go. I'm grateful for my body that allows me to see and do brilliant things. I know I have the strength to work through the challenges that come my way. I have no idea what my career will look like in 10 years, or 5 years, or even next year, and I'm okay with that. I still compare myself to other people too much, I still don't own a house, and my anxiety never magically went away, or my acne. But that's all okay, because the final and perhaps most important lesson I learned in my 20s is that you absolutely do not, under any circumstance, have to have everything figured out, ever, and especially not by 30.